Hello, everyone. My name's Artemis Black, and welcome to a quick look at, well, it might not be that quick, look at the some recent controversies surrounding the miniature company Greebo Games. Most of you will know. For those of you who don't know, Greebo Games are a prime mover in the third-party Blood Bowl miniature world. They have been for years. Their Kickstarters are fairly popular. Their third-party teams are fairly popular, or were fairly popular. Um, you will have seen their miniatures around. Like if you hang out in places where people post Blood Bowl miniatures, you've absolutely seen Greebo miniatures. People talk about them, people advertise them, etc. All of that works out. Sometime in 2025, I did find the original thing. I think it's a Brookenhoff. Yeah. Didn't say that rightly. So sometime in 2025, you can see there, this was posted in May 2025. The company kind of split up. Um, a bunch of the company left to form a new company, including the lead sculptor, lead designer, and one of the co-founders. They split off to form a new company and do something else that isn't Blood Bowl miniatures, or fantasy football miniatures, I should say, really. Um, and so people were worried about Greebo. However, something happened. This was May 2025. And if you scroll down to their created things, this June 2025 Kickstarter was done with the same people who left for Neri Games, right? This was the last thing that those employees did. But then this came out at the end of the year, and this is a new sculptor. I believe it's Andrea Sautino. And this tanked. Um, this is not a good Kickstarter for them. I'll be honest with you, I'm not amazingly certain why this tanked. 14,000 euros. You might think, oh my God, 14,000 euros for a Blood Bowl. Yeah, but like, this is not enough money to cover a Kickstarter like this and like staff and a company, etc. So this isn't good. But the sculpts are okay. Maybe people didn't like the style. Some of the sculpting is soft. Like if you look at some of the, oh, I tell you what, before I talk about this, you should know that I do this for a living, or did this for a living before I got sick and had to retire. Um, I've been in the miniature industry for decades. I've worked for some of the biggest miniature companies on the planet. I have designed miniatures. Um, I've been in all areas of production of miniatures, manufacturing of miniatures. I've pulled resin masters out of molds. I've been there and poured metal into metal production miniatures. Like, sorry, laughing at like trying to give myself a CV. Um, this is my job, right? You might know me from teaching people Blood Bowl and like swearing at dice, but this was my career. So when I talk about miniatures, know that I'm coming from a place of, actual knowledge from years of doing this. Um, so these miniatures are decently sculpted. Like they're not bad at all. Some of the details are a little soft, like the pads on the thighs, etc. And I will say that this smacks of digital recoloring. I'm gonna say a lot of like alleged stuff, right? I'm gonna say allegedly for all this stuff because I can't prove any of this. But normally, when you have a picture like this with these exact miniatures in these exact places, and then a picture like this, which is the exact same image but colored. It's been digitally colored. They haven't paid a painter to do this and then taken the images, taken the photos in the exact same angles. This is just digitally colored. Um, and I should also say, I don't dislike any of this. I don't have a problem with digital recoloring. I don't have a problem with AI, which is what we're going to talk about. Um, if you want to hate on AI, that's totally fine, right? That's your prerogative. Um, what I don't like is if someone is not upfront about it. I am going to use AI. I use AI now, and I will use AI in the future to make miniatures for private projects. But I will tell people. So if they hate AI, they don't buy my miniatures, so they know, right? That's the important part, I think, that matters the most. Just being honest and upfront. No weasel language. Um, no trying to like duck around it. Just say exactly what you did with AI, and then let people make their own decisions. People don't like being deceived. So yeah, this came out at a bad time, right? This came out in November as the rules came out, and the box set changed, so that also is a problem. But it had everything you needed. Like 7 linos is fine. Yeah, okay, it could have done with 8. Probably should have had 8. The 7 linos is not the worst. But yeah, this seems digitally colored, doesn't it? This doesn't look like a real paint job or anything. Um, but this didn't work. Um, However, what happened next was they did this Iron Crusade Kickstarter, and this thing blew up. It blew through the roof. But you can already see the difference. Look at all the previous Kickstarters. This image is a picture of the miniatures. This is a picture of the miniatures. This is some like cartoony art. Cartoony art. This looks professional. Like this image here looks professional. It also looks AI. That doesn't mean it is AI, just to be clear. Um, and if it was AI, I don't care. But that is also what it looks like. And as you can see here, this blew up. 555 backers, 110,000 euros, dwarfing previous Kickstarters. They all started roughly the same thing. You see here, 11,000% funded. Most of these are 1 and 2,000, 3,000% funded. Nothing is 11,000% funded. And if they all start at roughly the same number, then you can guess at how much like extra money this has made compared to the others. And if you scroll down, this is real. But these here, these look like digital paint jobs, which are AI. This looks like a digital paint job. I don't think they can afford the level of paint they needed to paint a face like that. Also, this here, this is not how concept art works. Could it be a real human drawing this? Yes. But why would a real concept artist spend all of that extra time with all of this heavy shading and cross-hatching, etc., for a piece of concept art? If actual concept art is to just show the sculptor what you want to make. The sculptor doesn't need to know that that dress is black. and like the extensive shading and cross hatching, that's a lot of extra time. Time is money for everyone with a job. And what's all this digital noise in the background? Why would a human concept artist put all of these splodges around it? So I don't think, allegedly, I don't think that a real human drew that. Um, just because of those reasons, right? Could a real human have drawn it? Yeah, of course. But I'm not certain that a real human did. These boxes are all AI. You don't get any of these boxes when you... I mean, this is a common practice, right? So again, I don't care about AI. But you get, when you buy a Greebo Kickstarter, you get it in a generic black and white Greebo box with clamshells in. You don't get printed color boxes with this artwork on it, etc. but it looks more professional. However, when you scroll down, all of the concept arts are also the same, right? This concept art is that miniature. It's like it's exactly that miniature. If you shrink this concept art down to that size and overlay it, it is pixel perfect. That's not how concept art has ever worked in my entire life in the industry. If you see something like this, one of two things has usually happened. A render filter, where you can use a render filter to ask for, like, a pencil drawing of the render, or you've just fed this image of the 3D model into ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever and asked for a pencil concept art. AI LLMs don't understand that concept art is not a drawing of the actual thing. So that's what they'll give you back, a drawing of the actual thing. So I don't believe that this concept came first and then someone sculpted this miniature. And this miniature here, all of these look like digital paint jobs. They're in literally the exact same angle as this. Why have they got fantasy bases when we know that they're Blood Bowl miniatures? Wouldn't they have football bases? If you pay someone a golden demon level artist, judging by the skin on these, wouldn't they put the correct bases on them? And it's just the same for every single one. That is exactly that. That is exactly that, which is exactly that. Same thing. Same thing. Same thing. They're all the same. This one was posted. Let's see if I can find what I did here. In case you're wondering whether or not that's the case. Here. This is a GIF. As you see, I cut this out just to show you that it's the actual artwork. And then when I overlay it, there we go. It's pixel perfect. It is literally pixel perfect. I have never seen that in my life. I have never seen a concept artist draw a heavily shaded, finished piece of art with digital noise all over it, give it to a 3D sculptor who then creates an actual pixel perfect representation of the concept art with every fold, the exact proportions and position, all identical. I've never seen that. Could a human do it? Again, yeah, it's humanly possible. So I don't have proof. I couldn't take them to court for this for anything or whatever. But, and again, the painted miniature is also pixel perfect. And again, not on a Blood Bowl base with incredible shading on the faces, etc. None of the previous Kickstarters showed this level of paint job. Their Instagram, this is the level of paint job on their Instagram of the same miniatures. This is the level of paint job you'd expect a small independent fantasy football company to have, right? This is their official Greebo Games Instagram. Why aren't they showing pictures of these Golden Demon level painting? Why aren't they showing obvious real life images of those? If you own these, why is your Instagram these? I would guess, and again, it's a guess, it's my personal opinion that this doesn't exist. This is a digital paint job. And all of these are the same. Look, this is actually signed, by the way. This is signed by Andrea Sortino, this piece of concept art. It's literally pixel perfect for this miniature. I would be very, very interested to know if this was really drawn by hand by this man and why he spattered all of these dots all around it. Why he spent so much time shading everything. And then how he created an exact pixel perfect miniature of it. That is the most unique workflow I have ever seen in my life, in decades of being in the miniature industry. And, you know, he does have an Instagram page with his work, but nothing has been posted there since late 2023. Even if they were being used as promotional material, what's with the spattering around it? What? That doesn't help anything. No, these are not presented as concepts. These are presented as the finished miniature. I saw that, Demby. Yes, he has an Instagram, but he hasn't posted anything since this in late 2023. This would be this man's Instagram. But, you know, people can get a lot better in a year and a half. And if you scroll down, it's all the same. Like, these are the same miniatures. Like, they're just completely, every single one is pixel perfect. You can pull them into Photoshop and drag one image over the other. This one was interesting. So one of the interesting things that I wanted to point out was people have brought this up recently. Greebo have made Euroball miniatures. Sponsored by Euroball. And people have brought this up to them, like, hey, you know, what's with like the use of AI, etc. And the not lead sculptor, sorry, the owner, Alessio of Greebo, posted. And he posted this. We have seen the recent accusations claiming that our miniatures are created using AI, and we would like to clarify the matter once, simply and transparently. Our character concepts are created by real illustrators using their own imagination, experience, and artistic talent. That's the first sentence that I am worried about. Because that, to me, that means he's saying the opposite of what I just said. He's saying someone drew this first as the actual first part of the workflow. Someone drew this black and white image. That's what that's saying to me, right? That's what that right there, this statement is claiming. Our character concepts are created by real illustrators. These are character concepts. The miniatures are then sculpted in 3D by our sculptors, following the same creative process Greebo Games has used for many years. AI is not used to create our concepts or to sculpt our miniatures. So again, that like he's saying that a human drew this. Well, where are the concepts then? Like, so the problem I have with if he doesn't mean this, and he means some concept art that is somewhere else that we haven't seen, that alone is disingenuous, right? People are asking about what they can see. You can't answer a question relating to things you can't see. However, it gets more interesting. In some cases, we use it only as a tool to experiment with the color schemes of miniatures that have already been fully designed and sculpted. It allows us to quickly visualize different painting options, just as we might do with other digital tools. Look, to me, that is pure marketing speak. This is not visualizing different color options. This is utilizing digital paint jobs for marketing purposes. And again, I have no problem with people doing that. I have a problem with people just not openly stating it. If this is painted by a human, tell me, show me the miniature in real life in your hand. Turn it around on a video. Who painted it? You don't have any studio painters listed. And in fact, there's a YouTube of a guy painting the most recent Kickstarter. No other, like, why would you, if you had a studio level painter this good, look at that non-metal. Look at that blending on the face. If you had a studio painter this good, where's his page? Where's his Twitch stream? Where's his YouTube? Who is it? Like, you don't have to do this. None of this stuff. But it's very unusual for someone this good at painting to be just hidden, not on the list of people involved in the company under the credits, nor, like, you know, nothing on the Instagram. As I said, their official Instagram has these. There, right there. That's their official Instagram paint job. Not that. This does not mean that we will stop commissioning professionally hand-painted miniatures. No, like you've done it there. But, you know, that is a significantly worse painted miniature. We will continue working with talented painters both to create real painted versions of our products and to continue supporting the artists who work in the industry. We understand that some people may not approve of the use of AI in any form, and we respect opinions expressed in a civil and constructive way. What we cannot accept, however, is false information being presented as fact about the work of our illustrators and sculptors. Okay, sure. If people are wrong, it's easy to prove them wrong. For the sake of transparency, we are also sharing part of the original creative process, from the illustrator's sketch to the final miniature. We prefer to let our work and the talented people who collaborate with us speak for Greebo Games. And then he posted 6 images, which you have to assume from that sentence we are also sharing is claiming that an original illustrator drew these. And as you can see there, the top middle one, that's this. I dragged it out. That's this. Firstly, I have never seen a concept artist draw a base. But that doesn't prove anything. I've just not seen it. Secondly, that is supposedly an absolutely perfect oval, yes. Secondly, that is the concept art for this miniature. And in case you're wondering if they look similar, this is the concept art overlaid on the miniature. That is incredible. Normally, Drunken Monkey, yes, you do concept art from different angles. Obviously, the sculptor would need to know what the back of the miniature looks like. And again, how are they producing pixel perfect 3D representations of concept art? That's not even the job of concept art. It's called concept art for a reason. It's just showing you the concept. You don't have to reproduce it. Like, look at the belt. The circles are in the exact pixel perfect place. The hair poking out the top of the belt. Every single tuft. Even the base is perfect, yeah. Like, everything about it is perfect. So, and I mean, how am I supposed to take your word for this? This is and this bottom right one, these three cheerleaders in the bottom right. It's this image here. That's what this looks like. That could absolutely be human concept art, right? If you're interested, the miniature, I have to find the miniature now, is at the top middle. There's the miniature. In fact, there's all three of those miniatures. They look incredibly similar, again, in the exact same angle as this concept art. By the way, this concept art wasn't even used. This is the first time anyone's seen it, I believe. And yet, somehow, it's also in the exact same angle as these three miniatures. And I cut this miniature out, this cheerleader 2. I dropped it into Gemini and said, hey, Gemini, literally one sentence, can you create a pencil concept art of this miniature for me, please? And it gave me this. Wrote nun cheerleader concept sketch and a fake signature, by the way. I didn't ask for the signature. You had concept sketch, it gave me a fake signature. So it did this. Like, I haven't retouched this. I didn't have more than one go at this. I just asked one sentence. This is for the very first time. This is the concept art that they posted on the Kickstarter. Give me a second. Oh, I don't know why that's cutting off at the top. There we go. Right. So there it is. This is their green image. Overlaid on top of the... That's impressively close, one might say. And in case you're wondering how my completely fake sketch looks like, it also looked exactly the same. Sorry, this one is their what's it called? The shaded one. There we go. And then this is the green one. They're all the same. They're all literally pixel perfect. My fake one was in a different window. Give me a second. There we go. That's the image, and that's the fake one that I asked Gemini for. I put their miniature into Gemini and with one sentence asked for a concept art, and it came out literally exactly the same as the concept art that Alessio posted. Because that's what AI does. It just draws the miniature. Again, this is not proof, right? But it's making me personally suspicious that this workflow they're claiming that these are the original point A of the workflow, that someone drew these and then someone created the miniatures, which is exactly what he says is happening here, is a weird workflow to create a piece of concept art that has a base, and then the finished miniature is pixel perfect for that concept art is unusual, to say the least. That is the issue with this. Yes, there's only one angle of everything, and it's the angle of the 3D render. Whatever this 3D render is, that's what the concept art looks like. That's what the painted miniature looks like. Yes, let's just be clear. I'm not accusing anyone of anything. All of this is possible through humans. Also, Alessio might be trusting what an artist told him and might not know that this is the case. Or like any number of explanations could cover this. Obviously, I have to cover myself, right? I'm making a video on this. I don't want to accuse people of things without full concrete evidence. I'm just presenting the evidence that we do have. There is another issue for me. So, like the newest one, the reason that I never even saw the Iron Crusade one. I saw this, the Amber Crown one. And the first thing that I saw was, firstly, these miniatures are a lot better than any previous miniatures. Secondly, they look a lot better because to my eyes, none of this is real paint jobs. These are fully digital paint jobs. Like the amount of money you would have to pay one of the best miniature painters in the world to paint this many miniatures to this standard is obscene. Also, every single jewel is perfect. The eyes are perfect. And again, look at that to that. Look at that concept art to that finished miniature. You can just drag and drop straight over the top. You might wonder why this matters. While I don't care, I don't care about using a digital paint jobs. One of the things that you have to be careful of when you ask if this is happening, I'm just talking in general, right? This is a general thing that any of you might have to worry about. If you ask AI to paint a miniature, if you feed it a metal miniature, a resin miniature, a 3D print, if you ask AI to do that, it will regularly paint details that don't exist. And I don't mean it will paint a pattern on a flat surface like a human could. I mean it will paint depth that can't possibly exist. And one of the things that I'm worried about here is this one. This miniature right here, this Phoenix 2. Somewhere around here I've got this dragged up. There it is. See this miniature here? This miniature on the right. This Phoenix 2. If you got this, firstly, again, no human is painting these dragon egg balls that well for, and look at how smooth the painting is on the skin. So if you got this miniature on the right, would you or would you not expect there to be a pattern sculpted onto her legs? This pattern, this filigree pattern, has depth, right? That's not like someone's painted that pattern on. It has depth. That is, if I got that miniature, I would expect that pattern to be on that leg. It does have a reflection on the base, like the base is made of actual marble, yes. Which, as we all know, it's not. Like, I'm not imagining this, am I? This is depth. I would expect that pattern to exist on the miniature when I got it. But there are 2 YouTube videos out at the moment of this Kickstarter. It hasn't fulfilled yet, but early copies have gone out to Bonehead Ben and to a Spanish painter. And both of them show the miniature. And this is it here. This is Bonehead showing this miniature. There's no pattern on that leg. And this is the Spanish painter. And there's the same miniature. There's no pattern on the leg. The legs are smooth. Again, there could be another explanation. It could be that these are, I don't know, pre-release and they haven't finished it or anything. But to me, that means that this is clearly an AI paint job. And they've accidentally not noticed that the AI has painted patterns that don't exist. Yes, the only way you can get this is to use a real reflective base. The only way you can get this reflection is to use a real reflective base. If you look around some of the others, these bases are not made of marble, obviously. And again, the bases are incredible. If anyone knows where to get these marble-looking bases, because I don't know where they're gone. I've not seen these online anywhere. Are we suggesting that these were like custom made? I mean, so this could be painted on. This looks a little less annoying than the other one. This doesn't seem to have that much depth. You could actually paint this. I mean, obviously, humans normally wouldn't. As you can see, it's a smooth leg, even in this image. But this doesn't look like it has depth. This looks like it's just painted in a 3D effect, which is, again, an incredible level of skill for someone who wants to hide their name. So I do have a problem with this, right? Not because of the use of AI. I have a problem because I know other people have a problem with the use of AI. People hate AI, right? There's a split in the Blood Bowl community Facebook group because of people posting AI stuff. In my opinion, in this day and age, you have to be completely and utterly upfront about every use of AI. And while we're talking about every use of AI, one of the other things is the miniatures themselves. I'm not suggesting, by the way, that the miniatures are sculpted with AI. AI 3D sculpting is not actually there yet. However, some of the things that we've noticed when looking at the miniatures are a little suspicious with regards to whether or not AI is being used in the workflow. So this is one of the miniatures from the Eurobowl set. This is one of the rotters from the Eurobowl set. We'll put aside the fact that like it doesn't look like a rotter and it's got weird proportions. That could all be stylistic. When you ask, for example, this is just a something that you would have to get used to. When you ask AI for something like concept art, AI doesn't know how real things work. Large language models are just based on everything pumped into it. It doesn't know how like real people, etc., work. And for example, this is the kind of mistake that AI would make, and it's unusual to see a human make the mistake. Look at this top left buckle. It's attached to nothing. The strap is coming in from this side and then going over the shoulder, and the buckle is attached to nothing. What is the strap for a start? It's not holding anything on. And obviously, an L-shaped strap wouldn't work. It would just pull up to the neck, whatever it is. That's the kind of mistake that a human would be unusual to make because humans know how straps work. And secondly, another mistake that AI could make is things ending in the wrong place, things not connecting or just tapering out or blending into something else. Like the belt will just fade into the trousers and not have it continue. It's a very common AI art mistake. Look at this strap. It doesn't go under the boob, Sin. You can see the material of the shirt. It's literally gone through the boob. Again, how would a human make that mistake? I'm not suggesting this was made with AI, this sculpt, right? You can't, there's no current software where you can just ask for a 3D sculpt and it pumps something like this out. One possible explanation would be if a sculptor who isn't trained in anatomy or whatever is copying an AI concept, has dragged AI concepts into ZBrush or something and is just mindlessly copying it. That's a possible explanation. It could just be, of course, that a human being made two egregious errors on the same miniature. But there are other AI indications on this. The hands and feet, very separated toes and fingers, gaps between them all, big chunky knuckles. If any of you ever used AI for art, that is like a sign. And again, humans can also do that. So this isn't like I couldn't sue anyone over this. But it all is weirdly in there. And obviously, like AI has started to be used. None of these boxes are real. I don't believe a human has made any of these boxes. I don't think anyone would ever claim that a human made these boxes. These look like the standard AI marketing boxes that people use all over the place and have done since AI was capable of busting them out. Yes, that is not nitpicking. It is correct. They do. Different thicknesses to the bases. Other things, hang on, let me find the Greebo Euroball. Other things that AI loves to do. I mean, obviously that's an AI box, right? It's literally just the exact same image from here on the box. These are all just these images. One of the other things that AI really loves to do, which you'll again know if you ever use AI for art, is this pose. This outstretched, fingers spread, splayed out pose. AI loves doing that. I also have no idea where the rest of whatever that creature is in the bag is supposed to be, but I guess that doesn't matter. So I don't know what's going on here. Like, to me, this is quite a lot of circumstantial evidence that kind of counters what Alessio is claiming here. That these concepts are step zero. That someone drew this bear person and these cheerleaders first before any sculpts happened. And then the sculptor just so happened to create them in the absolute exact proportions and pose and details of the concept art. That seems a very, very unique workflow to me. I have never seen anyone else do that. That doesn't mean it can't be done. It just means I've never seen someone do that. And I've worked in the miniature industry with miniature sculptors and concept artists, etc., for decades. So I'd be interested to see what Greebo say next. They have actually said some extra stuff since then. The most recent thing they said was this morning, in fact, and it was, I believe the best thing to do is to show the entire production process, the concept art, videos of our sculptors at work, and a comprehensive collection of everything we have created so far, rather than limiting ourselves to 6 sample images, which are those. This should clear up any doubts once and for all. As soon as we return from our summer break on August the 15th, we will begin sharing all of this on our channel. I don't know what channel means. Do they have a YouTube? From now on, I will personally make sure to present all this material in advance, even before publishing the finished models, as we have always done, so there can be no room for doubt. If after that anyone still claims our artist work is AI generated, it will be up to them whether they choose to believe us or not. Okay, that doesn't quite cover it. Like, obviously, we have no way of knowing it. Let's just say, for example, right? This is a pure hypothetical. Someone creates a miniature based on AI concept art by like asking a. You can ask ChatGPT for concepts of a miniature until you find one you like, then ask it for a render and ask it for that render from all different angles. You can do that. That's completely something that AI is currently capable of. You can then drag those images into ZBrush and basically 3D trace them to create new miniatures. And I know this because I'm telling you now, I will be utilizing that technology when I make some personal miniatures myself. So I've already looked into this. It is not, I don't have a vendetta against AI. I will be doing the thing that I'm currently stating. However, I will be telling everyone that I did it. So if you hate AI, don't buy that miniature off me. So that is possible. And then you can just not show that render, finished render, ask AI for concept art, and then show the concept art first. Like, showing the if you'd showed this bear first and then showed, like, if you'd showed me this first and then 2 weeks later shown me this, that doesn't prove that this happened after this, does it? They come in one piece because they're 3D prints. Like, that's not really the point of this video. I actively don't like this, by the way. Models will be provided in Greebo 3.0 full hard resin. They go out of their way to add in brackets full hard resin. I work in the miniature industry. If anyone ever said full hard resin to me, I would 100% assume they meant hand cast resin. Vacuumed hand cast resin. I would in no way ever assume they meant a 3D print. But as far as I'm aware, these models are just 3D prints. No, the models sent to Bonehead Ben, you can see through the fingers on some of these. It's clearly 3D print material. So these are just 3D prints. You also can't hand cast these miniatures. There's too many voids and undercuts. No one would ever bother to hand cast anything like this in one piece. It would be a nightmare. Some of them are physically impossible, and others the mold wouldn't last. You'd get like 3 pulls out of it and have to make a new one. It's a waste of time. These are 3D prints. There are little print supports on some of these miniatures, yes. They don't lie about it. They just use weird language, right? What does full hard resin doesn't have an actual industry meaning. It's not like the resin they send you is soft, is it? It's a weird phrasing. I don't like weasel words. And if you look at the uses of AI part of this, what parts of your project will use AI generated content? Please be as specific as possible. This is a Kickstarter thing, right? You have to do this because of Kickstarter and laws. And they've wrote, the illustrated miniatures are all models that have actually been sculpted and produced. We reserve the right to use AI for mock-ups and renders. Firstly, it didn't ask you what you reserve the right to use. It asked you what you actually used. So I don't like this answer at all. This answer probably doesn't even correctly fulfill what the necessities of AI usage on Kickstarter. The intellectual property of every graphic used on this page belongs to Greebo Games. That one is an interesting one, right? That is an actual interesting one. If you use AI to create something, you do not own copyright on it. That is the case in most westernized countries. Nobody owns copyright on it. So if any of those concept arts, if any of those black and white concept arts that are all the way up here somewhere, if any of these were not drawn by a human, if they were output by generative AI, they do not own the copyright for them. I don't think the laws are different in Italy. Maybe. I mean, as far as I'm aware, Italy has quite restrictive laws on talking about AI, but I'm not an expert in Italian copyright law. So, as far as I'm aware, is the best I can say. But the fact that they also mention renders, we reserve the right to use AI for renders. Are they running these renders, these 3D models through AI? It doesn't mean the miniature doesn't look like this, but you can make the miniatures look better by just running a pass through AI. Are they doing that? What do they mean by that sentence? This is why you shouldn't use weasel words, because it allows people to make up their own interpretation. So I don't know what is AI and what isn't, what is human and what isn't. And that's a problem for me if I want to do business or buy something from a company. I don't even have the problem that it's AI. If at the bottom of this they had said, yeah, all of the concept is AI, all of these paint jobs are AI, we've done this to save money, I would be well done. I don't like people who lie, Jaeger. That's why. But other people do have a problem with AI. I have a different problem with it than most people will. Most of the people who are asking questions and are suspicious are because they don't like AI. I don't care at all about the AI. I don't like people not being honest with me. I don't like people using weasel words to get out of things. I want, like, if I'm giving someone money, I want them to be upfront. I'm not accusing them of not being that. I'm just telling you what I don't like. And at the moment, this statement from Alessio, I find suspicious. I find it suspicious that he's claiming that this drawing of this lion man, this was step one, and it existed before this model. This model that is the exact same. Depending on what you want, it is that, Evil Bear. As I said, I dumped their model in. I literally copied this miniature and I put it into ChatGPT and I said, can I have a concept art for this miniature, please? Pencil sketch. And literally first try, it gave me this. If I posted this on a Kickstarter and said it was a concept, how would you know? How would you know any different? A human could easily have drawn this. However, when you drag it over the top, look at this one here. When you drag this concept art, when you drag that concept art, this here, I get rid of this. There's the concept art. There we go. That's pretty impressive, right? To get every single fold in that rope belt specifically pixel perfect. To get that cross and necklace pixel perfect. You're telling me that that's a concept? And then the one that they posted was the green one. That's the same. Look at the belt. Look at the cross and the necklace. There's the concept art that he claims was the first image. Look at the belt on the finished miniature. Look at the strap across the chest. Look at the angles of the muscles on the underarm and the shoulder. They're identical. Like, that sculptor is somehow one of the best sculptors in the world to be able to create an identical pixel perfect 3D sculpt from a concept art that when you overlay it looks like that. Anyway, I wanted to look at this. Like I said, I've been in the miniature industry. This used to be my life. So I was very interested in seeing this. And it does kind of make me sad when people like jump to the defense of people they like instead of looking at what the actual issues is. I've seen a lot of responses about this in the Euroball Discord, especially from some of the Euroball organizers, like leaping to the defense of Greebo Games. I'm not certain you should be as quick to do that based on some of these replies. I would wait if I were you. Like I'm kind of interested. A friend of mine backed the High Elf Kickstarter, so I'm going to have a look at the miniatures in hand when they ship. They haven't shipped yet, and I'll post a video on that when I get them. I'm be interested to see if any of the details from the actual Kickstarter, like, you know, the detail on the leg here, just doesn't exist on the finished miniature. And if so, how is that even possible? The only way I would think that was possible is if, firstly, these are digital, and even maybe like these have been run through a digital pass. But you never know. Maybe those were pre miniatures, like, you know, the first concept or something. And when my friend gets them, they'll have all this filigree on the leg. I'll happily show them. I don't ever not admit to mistakes. So this is a piece of news I'll be keeping interest on. It is a bit of a weird W, yeah. Yes. And again, similar to the issues with some of the Euroball miniatures looking like they've been designed by AI, this is also something that AI would do. AI doesn't understand Blood Bowl miniatures. So it's just created, like, it would just create fantasy miniatures. I was trying to create an AI dwarf Blood Bowl player for a thumbnail, and I absolutely could not get it to stop drawing fantasy dwarves because AI isn't really AI. It's a large language model. We just call it AI because that's good for marketing purposes. And it's been trained on 1,000,000 fantasy dwarves and not many Blood Bowl dwarves. So when it tries to recreate an image of a dwarf, it leans into fantasy. If you aren't specific with it and you ask for an image of a, like, you know, a Blood Bowl high elf or whatever, it can give it a sword because it has so many trained images of elf miniatures and elf art with swords. Obviously, if it was AI, you would know Blood Bowl players don't come with swords. So those are the kind of mistakes that getting things designed by AI can lead to. And again, that doesn't mean they've done it. This might be a stylistic choice on purpose. But it definitely is a possibility. And I would be very interested to see what kind of proof that Alessio is going to put up to clear these suspicions. Because what he described isn't going to be proof, right? That's not proof. Posting a concept and then posting the miniature later and then both being identical is proof. However, just putting this out there as a hypothetical, if I happen to own a miniature company and I've been accused of this, it is obviously incredibly easy to this time ask AI, can you make a concept art of this but change it a bit? There should be existing proof, right, from the workflow from the last two Kickstarters. I don't think we'll get any proof. I don't think we'll get anything that actually proves anything. I think they hit on a great idea. They've knocked two Kickstarters out of the park. As far as I'm aware, everyone's happy with their miniatures, which is the important part, right? However, some of those people might be less happy if there was AI used in the production workflow more than they are saying, which is a problem. No one should ever be misleading possible customers. And that's the big thing for me. I don't give a shit about AI. I'm not going to shout at people in this video about giving a shit about AI. I'm aware of all the issues with AI. You might hate AI for environmental purposes, for moral purposes. That's okay. That's your prerogative. And as your prerogative, you should be able to make decisions on purchases and supporting companies based on honesty from them about how they use AI. And that's really what I care about. Yes, their workflow is massively increased. And as far as they say, there's still only one sculptor, and it's the guy who was banging out Blender models a year and a half ago and was a tattoo artist. Like, that's a lot of suddenly well done miniatures from one dude. Maybe there are hidden sculptors behind the green curtain. Maybe there are hidden world-class painters behind the green curtain. Maybe there are hidden world-class concept artists behind the green curtain. Maybe there's a lot of shit going on behind the curtain that for some reason they haven't put forward. All we can do is wait and see. But I thought this was a very interesting recent discussion. I didn't particularly like how it was handled by Alessio at Greebo in the Euroball Discord. I'm not allowed to speak in the Euroball Discord since I made fun of them for ignoring women. So I couldn't respond there myself. And other people were posting stuff that I was posting. This discussion has come up across multiple Discords, my own, Fumble, others. And because I'm in those Discords and it's my job, I have responded with what I thought in those Discords. And then other people have forwarded or used my points in the Euroball Discord. So I felt involved and I wanted to talk about it. Anyway, we'll follow this up once Alessio, there should be some future things. I will also make a video once I get the high elf models in hand. If I don't get them in hand, because I don't happen to meet my friend who gets them, I'll make sure I get some high quality images of them. The Bonehead video is not particularly high quality, sadly, to be able to see. I wish Ben had done a better job of zooming in on these. And obviously, because it's a 3D print material, it doesn't react well to being photographed or filmed either. Like the light passes through parts of it and doesn't show detail as well. But it definitely would show detail on that leg if it was there. So there we go. That's done. We will see you for regular scheduled programming next video. Thank you, everyone.